Vanessa for Crafty Gemini Creates. I'm back with another fun and relaxing tutorial for you. This time we're working on this really cute eye pillow that I've backed with cuddle fleece so it's super nice and soft, and if you do yoga or you like to meditate at all, this is going to be great. We're filling it with rice and some lavender buds, so a really relaxing project that you can have right next to your bedside. So let's get started. The first thing that we are going to do is make the inner portion. So I like to make it to where the kind of rice pack is inside. That way if this gets dirty, you can always toss it right in the wash. And so this is the part we're going to make first. So what you need is just a strip of scrap fabric. I'm just using muslin that I had on hand. And the strip that you cut out measures 4 inches this way by 18.5. Then on both short ends, I want you to fold them in 1/4 inch and press them. Then flip it so that's down. And you're going to fold it in half like this, so create your pouch. On the ends here, you're just going to stitch along the long ends. So back stitch at the beginning and at the ends, and stitch here and here. And then you're just going to flip the whole thing right side out. You'll end up with a little pouch like this one. And then we fill it. So to fill it up, I just have regular rice here. Now I buy my lavender buds. You can get these at like your local health food store. There's a lot of different online vendors, even a farmer's market. And then I'll just put maybe 2 or 3 pinches in there. No big deal. I know there's a lot of different recipes for the different fillings that you can use. Some people put a few drops of essential oils. That would work as well. I kind of just mix it up. Then you're going to open this up and you're going to pour it in there. Now when you pour it in, you don't want to put any more than about halfway up, okay? That's like this one. It's at about halfway, and that's how much you want to do. Now after that, the ends of yours are already folded under, so just go ahead and top stitch the top part closed, and then you'll seal it up. So set that aside once you're done with the little rice pack. Now we can make the outer sleeve portion of the eye pillow. Now to get started, let's talk about the collection that I'm using here. It's called Patchwork by Emily Taylor Designs for Riley Blake. And I was kind of looking for a print that kind of had a zen and relaxing feel to it, so I think these fabrics will work great for this. And these are 5-inch squares that we're using. So I matched it up with the small wedge template here. Now remember that there's always a link in the description box below this video where you can find all the links to whatever supplies and things that I'm using in the tutorial. All right, so here's our simple wedge. It's designed to be used with these 5-inch squares, and I already have one cut out here, but just to show you where I lined it up. Match up one edge here, cut, and then do the other one. Or you can also fold the 5-inch square on a diagonal and cut both layers out at the same time. But what you end up with is minimal waste, and then you have 2 wedges. So with these 2 wedges, I want you to fold them with the pretty side towards the inside and fold them right along this top edge here. Repeat it to the other one. And you're going to stitch them by machine using 1/4 inch seam allowance, back stitching at the beginning and at the ends. So what you'll end up with is one that looks like this. Let me flip it back out for you. You should end up with 2 that look like that. And then, as you already saw, you just grab it in the center here in the point, and you're going to flip it right side out so that you get a peak. And it's kind of like a Dresden plate if you are a quilter and have done that project before. Line it up so that the center seam on the back end is in line with the point here, and then just give it a quick press to set those 2 in place. Once you have those 2, you're going to put them together to create our heart like you see here. So the most important point here is right where the 2 pieces meet to create the center of the heart. Fold these one on top of the other with pretty sides touching. And I like to put a pin here just to make sure that I get it right on point. Back stitch at the beginning, and you don't really have to at the end, but use your 1/4 inch. Once you're done with that, you're going to get a little heart that looks like this. Our points here are completely faced, meaning there's no raw edges on it, but we still have a raw edge down here. Now you have the option of folding it under 1/4 inch and pressing it, but it's on a bias edge here, so I find that kind of gets distorted a little bit and stretches out on you. So instead, what I prefer to do is to take a piece of scrap fabric, and I'm going to lay my heart pretty side touching the fabrics. And notice my strip, it measures the same height right up until this point here where the raw edges on the heart part begin. So all this is faced and the raw edges start here. You want to go up until at least that point. Now you can always cut this flush with the edges, or what I would usually do is just stitch 1/4 inch, come down, pivot at the point, and come up this way, and then go back and trim away the excess. So what you'll end up with then is something that looks like this, and it looks kind of like a little pocket. But what this is going to do with our seam allowance here is it's going to grab those raw edges that we initially had and flip it under for us when we flip this back. So essentially you're making a little facing for your heart, and then it looks like that, and give it a good press. And then we've created a little heart applique that we are going to applique onto a background square. So for the background square, go ahead and just pick out a coordinating square from your pack of fabric, and you're going to place the heart right on top of it. I have one here. You can see they all look the same. You can use some glue basted at this point to kind of baste your heart in place. And I just put a few dots, just enough to hold it so we can machine stitch it into place. I kind of like to set mine off kilter a little bit. Now when you're placing this heart, make sure that you're staying enough away from the top edges because this will get trimmed down a little bit and you don't want to run the risk of chopping off a part of your heart here, okay? So put that in place with a little glue baste it, press it, and then you're going to machine stitch this down into place. Now, if you have a machine that maybe you start to do that and you see that it's kind of bunching up your fabric, the background fabric here, a good option is to use just a lightweight fusible interfacing on the back of the square, and that will help stabilize the background square a little bit better for the stitching. But you just can use a decorative stitch. Zigzag stitch is really an easy way to go, like you see that I've done on this one, and just work your way all the way around the edge and applique that into place. Now, to complete the front part of it, we can see that we just have strips here. So I sew a strip to the left side of the heart first, and all these strips are cut out at 1.5 inches wide from our 5-inch squares. So they're 5 inches by just the 1.5. And you can see that on the one that I sewed here, I've also gone back and I pressed this raw edge under 1/4 inch. You're going to do the same thing again. So press it under another 1/4 inch, press it, and you're going to top stitch that to create a small hem, just like I have on this one here, okay? And then go back, kind of rearrange your little 1.5 inch strips in whatever design you want, and then you're going to piece them together and attach it to the other side of the square. Super easy patchwork here. Now before we move on to the backing part, I want you to trim this down to 4.5 inches. The length can stay the same because we'll trim that one later, but you can see that I've trimmed it down from the 5-inch square that we initially started off with, or 5-inch strips as well. I've trimmed it all down to 4.5 inches, okay? Now, going to the backing fabric, I'm working with 10-inch by 10-inch pre-cut squares of our Cuddle fleece. Now this pastel pack comes in so many gorgeous colors, and I think this pack just matches up so nicely with the Chatsworth fabric, okay? So what you want to do, notice this is a 10-inch square, and this, depending on your seam allowance, is probably going to be a little bit longer, which is fine. For right now, I just want you to lay it on top, give yourself a little wiggle room there, because the Cuddle fleece is so silky, sometimes it'll move on you. So grab your pins and your wonder clips too before we start sewing. And I'm just going to eyeball this and trim it down, kind of following the edge of the eye pillow front part. Okay. Now we are going to go here to one of the short ends on the backing, and we're just going to turn it under 1/4 inch, just once, because it doesn't fray on you, so you don't need to do it twice like we did for the cotton fabric. So just fold it over a little bit and just top stitch it down, just so that we don't have that raw edge there. So I'm going to head over here to my sewing machine. All right, so that part is done. Now you're going to layer these two together, pretty sides together. And at this point, I like to check and see if I need to do any trimming, which depending on your seam allowance, you may need to do some, which for me, you can see. You definitely want the hemmed edges to be lined up correctly, and then you're going to trim off any excess that you have on this end, which is fine, to make it all come down to the 10 inches. Now at this point, definitely take your time. You're going to use pins, you're going to use wonder clips, whatever's going to help hold it in place for you the best. Then using just a basic straight stitch on your machine, you're going to back stitch at the beginning and at the ends, and you're just going to stitch down 3 sides. Remember that the hemmed edges should remain open so that you can slip in your rice pack. Stitch down here, pivoting on those corners. Then you can just trim away a little bit of the excess seam allowance in the corners, flip it right side out, and as you can imagine, slip your rice pack right in there, and you're ready to start relaxing with your little Cuddle fleece eye pillow. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. It's definitely a quick and easy project to try out. Remember that there's a link in the description box where you can find the template, the fabrics, and things that I used to create this project. And if you enjoyed the video, hit it with the thumbs up below. Share it across the different social media sites. When you do give it a try, remember to upload pictures. We'd love to see them on the Crafty Gemini Creates Facebook page. And you can always tag me on social media with the hashtag CGCreates. Thanks again for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on the future videos, and I'll see you all next time.